Today I'm going to bake Claire Saffitz sourdough bread and compare it to my master recipe. What are the differences? Hi, I'm Sune and I'm a food geek. Today I'm going to show you the sourdough recipe that Claire published on the New York Times YouTube channel and their website and compare it to my master recipe. If you're into food and cooking, I'm sure you know Claire Saffitz. I discovered her gourmet make series back in 2019 that she had on the Bon Appetit channel. I followed her ups and downs, although it mainly seemed like downs, she'd come through in the end every time. I'm sure it was all planned out that way. I used to follow most of what Bon Appetit put out, and I had even had the channel as one of my featured channels until it came out that it was a toxic workplace that didn't pay their employees of color equal pay. I believe that everybody in the world should be judged based on their own merits and not on anything that puts them in a specific group. Well, enough of that. Claire makes awesome desserts and cakes on her own channel called Dessert Person, but she also put out a recipe for sourdough bread, so I thought it'd be interesting to compare her recipe to my own. It'll be super interesting. If you're new to this channel, I bake a lot of sourdough bread and I make delicious food from all over the world. If you want to see more of this content, please join me by subscribing and ringing the bell so you won't miss any future videos. Claire's recipe uses 30% whole grain, which is quite high. In the video, she opts for 20% whole grain wheat and 10% whole grain rye. But in her written recipe on the New York Times site, it's optional what you put in. So I opted for whole grain wheat because it has more gluten than rye. If you're familiar with my master recipe, it uses 20% rye. It's also specified in my written recipe that you can use whatever flour you like the most. I'm opting for rye. As a Dane, I've grown up eating lots of rye, so I really like that taste. Claire's recipe has an overall hydration of 77.5%, although she doesn't count the flour in the starter and calls it 75%. My master recipe is 70% hydration, but since I know that my bread flour is more absorbent, I'm using it at 80% hydration. The inoculation in Claire's recipe is 22%, while in mine it's 20%. I doubt that will make for a much faster fermentation in her bread, although the higher amount of whole grain might. The amount of salt in the two recipes are the same, 2%. The method is quite different. Claire is following the tartine school of sourdough, where you autolyse and mix starter and salt in separate steps. In general, she has more steps to develop gluten, and in many ways it looks very close to Joshua Weissman's recipe, which I tested in an earlier video. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member at Patreon. You can also buy some merch or use the links in the description for tools and ingredients. Those were the words. This is me baking Claire Saffitz's recipe. I'm going to show you the process of baking both the recipes at the same time so you can see the differences between them. I've scaled Claire's recipe to make two 700-gram loaves because that is what fits my Bannetons. First, I autolyse Claire's dough. I mix all of the flour with all of the water except for 20 grams that I'm reserving for mixing in the salt later on. Then I let the dough sit for 30 minutes to develop the gluten. Then after 30 minutes, I mix all the ingredients for my dough at the same time. Right after that, Claire says to test the starter with the float test. To be honest, I haven't done that in many years, but since I have an all-wheat starter, it should be good. Here goes. Yes, it's important to pour the starter out of the container where it's been growing. You want to preserve the air bubbles in the starter because that's what makes it float. Then I mix the starter into the Autolysing dough. It's going alright. After it's mixed in, I add the salt and the reserved water on top of the dough and work it into the dough. Then I let the dough rest for 10 minutes. Then Claire says to stretch and fold the dough for 10 minutes, so I start folding. The dough is getting too hard to pull because the gluten's being developed, so I'm not able to continue for 10 minutes. So I decide to slap and fold the dough for a while, although at this point the gluten is probably more than adequately developed. I do a Windowpane and look at how strong the dough is. Yes, a little tear. I was being overzealous when pulling. Then I put the dough in a bulking container. It might not be the easiest to do stretch and folds in, but it'll let me monitor the growth easily. When all of that is done, I let the dough rest for 60 minutes. After about 30 minutes, I do the first set of stretch and folds for my dough. Then I let the dough rest for 30 minutes. Then I do the second set of stretch and folds for my dough. And the first for Claire's dough. After another 30 minutes, I do the last set of stretch and folds for my dough. I check the gluten, looks good. And then I put it in the bulking container. At this point, I'm putting both doughs in the proofer to let them ferment under the same conditions. After this, I keep stretching and folding Claire's dough until bulk is over. This took about 4 hours. My dough was done first, but Claire's was close at this time as well. I pre-shaped my dough. And final shaped it. Then I put it in the fridge for an overnight retard. After about 10 minutes, Claire's dough was ready too. So I pre-shaped it. And then I final shaped it using Claire's much simpler technique. I like it. Then these doughs go into the fridge as well. Then the next morning, I preheat my oven with the Challenger inside to 260 degrees Celsius, 500 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. Then I grab one of Claire's doughs. I dust the bottom with rice flour to help it slip off the peel easily. I flip it onto the peel. I dust the top with more rice flour. I score it. And then I put it in the Dutch oven. I turn the oven down and bake it for 20 minutes. Then I remove the top. Great spring. And I bake for 25 minutes more. Yes, I know this differs a bit from Claire's instructions, but I know this method works great in my oven, and you should always follow what you know works instead of just following a recipe blindly. And I bake the other breads using the same technique. Alright, let's have a look at the crumb. And let me do a little taste test. That's delicious. Rye. Alright, that was an interesting experiment. The two recipes seem to have the same amount of oven spring, but the bread baked with Claire's recipe opened up more. I think it was due to the less involved batard shaping. It split open on the ends because the ends weren't sealed. Claire's bread had a significant ear while mine just had smaller ears. I think maybe it was a scoring thing. I've shown you enough of my bread with awesome ears baked with my recipe, so yeah. Both breads were delicious, but it all comes down to the flour choice. Had I picked the same whole grains for both breads, it would have tasted close to exactly the same. Claire's bread was earthy, nutty, and slightly bitter and slightly sour. My bread was also earthy, malty, not bitter at all, and somewhat more sour, but not unpleasantly so. I don't think that all the steps in Claire's recipe made for a better bread, so I'll stick with the mix-all, a couple of folds, and then an undisturbed bulk. As for shaping, I really like the simplicity of Claire's shaping. I think maybe I should make a batard shaping experiment to see what different kinds of shaping can bring you. Let me know in the comments what baker's batard shaping you like, and I'll find some contenders to put up against each other. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.